Hi, Leo, and welcome to your October 2023 horoscope. October is eclipse season, if you were not aware, so there's a lot of great opportunities for growth and learning. However, if you're feeling a little bit unsure about October, maybe there's a little bit of scaredness, not knowing what to expect, and you still feel like you'd like personal help after watching this video, then I wanted to let you know that I am opening my books for 30-minute personal eclipse readings. We're going to sit down one-on-one, pull up your chart, and really take a look at what this eclipse means for you. So instead of just looking at your houses, which is what we're doing in this video, we're going to take a look at what planets it's also hitting for you specifically, and any transits or progressions that are happening in your life right now. So it's a lot more detailed and a lot more precise. The booking link is down in the description box. Make sure you check it out if it's something for you. Between the 2nd and the 4th, we have Mars conjunct the South Node in your 3rd house, and they are sextiling Venus in your 1st house. It is time for you to take a look at all of the ways that you are not speaking up and you're not speaking what is on your mind. You have a tendency to keep the peace, especially when it comes to your communication. But Mars on the South Node right now might bring up a lot of frustrated emotions around that, asking you to change and speak up for once. And this is going to have to mean rooting deep into your self-esteem, your self-image, and showing up loud and proud to the rest of the world. You are a Leo after all. Between October 8th and 10th, it's probably one of the hardest times of the month. This is because Mars is moving away from the South Node into the late degrees of Libra. And as it moves there, it starts to square Pluto in Capricorn in your 6th house. At the same time, we have Venus leaving Leo finally and entering Virgo. And as it does that, it opposes Saturn in Pisces. So a lot happening on these 2 to 3 days. If you did not address any of the frustrations that were coming up at the beginning of the month, then between October 8th and 10th, these will only become stronger because now Pluto is in the mix. And looking at the 6th house, we're especially taking a look at all of the old tradition and beliefs you may have when it comes to you serving others or you following others and therefore not speaking up your mind. It's time to step away from what it really means to be of service to others. And that doesn't always mean agreeing with them or keeping the peace. And with Saturn in your 8th house, you're getting a big lesson about the fact that being spiritual and being loving does not always mean keeping the peace. Sometimes it's about standing up and saying things that are a little bit more difficult. And this does not mean that you're any less spiritual or any less loving towards those around you. And yet again, if on the 8th and the 10th, that is not enough for you to start to learn and integrate these ideas into your life, then there is an even bigger event on the 14th of October. We have a solar eclipse in Libra on the 14th happening in your 3rd house. So we have the Sun, Moon, Mercury, Mars, and the South Node all in your 3rd house. And the themes are the same, just a little bit more intense. All of that energy in Libra asking you to go beyond peaceful communication, to really say something, even if it disturbs others. And the whole story, the whole conversation with Saturn and with Pluto is still happening. The solar eclipse is still squaring Pluto and trining Saturn. So all of these ideas around really challenging yourself as to what you believe it means to be of service to others and what you believe means to be spiritual, and really realizing that being peaceful, loving, and kind, sometimes spirituality and service is not about that. After the solar eclipse, all of the planets start to move away from the South Node, so hopefully some of these energies feel a little bit easier. However, not for too long. As the Sun moves away from the South Node, it reaches the last degrees of Libra on the 21st, and as it does that, it squares Pluto directly. The sun moves quite fast, so I don't think this will be a very intense day. And also, I don't believe it'll be a very intense day because we have a very nice aspect between Venus and Jupiter. Venus in your second house is trining Jupiter in your 10th house. And it's a really nice way to wrap up the month. I really see this almost as the reward that you might get if you did the hard work at the beginning of the month, because now we have your career house and your money house coming into the conversation. So if you do stand up for yourself, if you do speak up, if you do really challenge what it means to keep the peace and to keep the harmony, then I really see this as some monetary or career type of rewards coming your way. Just a couple of days later, on the 23rd, the sun officially moves out of Libra and into Scorpio. And as it does that, it begins to trine Saturn in Pisces in your 8th house. So towards the end of the month, as all of the planets have moved away from your 3rd house, and now as well the sun, together with the sun, they're entering into your 4th house, I see the second part of October as a beautiful way to allow yourself to integrate all of the ways that you've had to speak up and stand up for yourself in the first half of the month. The 4th house and the 8th house are a lot more internal, a lot more houses that you don't necessarily see outside in the real world. And following the intense eclipse, this is a perfect day to dig deep into how you feel from the first half of the month and see if there are any new beliefs you want to establish for yourself going forward. We have a couple of days of a break after the 23rd, but not for too long, of course. This is October after all. On the 28th of October, we have a lunar eclipse. The Sun, Mercury, and Mars will be in Scorpio, and the Moon and Jupiter will be opposing them in Taurus. So this will be happening in your 4th house and 10th house axis. There might be a tendency after the lunar eclipse, especially with Jupiter in a Venus-ruled house in Taurus, there might be a tendency that you want to step back into the peacekeeping, that you do want to start being harmonic out in the world, want to reestablish that status for yourself out into the world. But all of the energy in Scorpio with the Sun, Mercury, and Mars will keep asking you to remember what you want, to remember that you are still lovable even if you are not perfect or harmonic all of the time. So it's a really beautiful lunar eclipse to really integrate deeply all of the things you learned at the beginning of the month. And finally, we close off the month with Venus in your 2nd house, trining Uranus in your 10th house. So it's the first time that Uranus really comes into the conversation of the month. So all of the individuality and expression that you have found in your status in the last couple of years with Uranus there, you might find that you're finally getting some type of reward from it, whether it's a financial reward, this is happening in your 2nd house after all, or whether it's a reward of feeling worthy and proud of what you have accomplished. So overall, it's a really beautiful way to end the month and some really nice opportunities for you to integrate these lessons. And you got this, Leo. I 100% believe in you. Again, as I shared earlier, if you want to know, but how does it touch my personal planets? But what about all of my progressions that I'm going through right now? What does it really mean for me going beyond the houses? You can book a personal eclipse reading with me. It's 30 minutes long. It's one-on-one. We're going to pull up your chart and get right into the lessons and also some tips for how you can navigate the season in the best way possible. The booking link is down below, so make sure you check it out. Thank you for joining me. I do these forecasts every month, so if you want to make sure you catch the one in November, then make sure you subscribe, and I hope to see you again soon.